Look, there's a lot wrong with The Rise of Skywalker, but by and large,
I like it.
I think J.J. Abrams got dealt a bad hand by The Last Jedi, and he did the best he could, in the limited time he had after Colin Trevorrow was shown the door, to try and rectify that for fans. Yes, absolutely. Some of the story beats are nonsense, and yes, I agree with you, the third movie shouldn't have been about chasing a MacGuffin, and yes, totally, making Rey a Palpatine was a dumb idea. But there's still a lot to enjoy. It was still made by someone who likes and respects Star Wars, and didn't make it just to be contrary. Yes, I'm looking at you, Ryan, so I tend to forgive its faults and flaws and just enjoy the ride. But I've been so blinded by all that I hadn't noticed how clunky the dialogue is. If you take a look at the making of documentary, you'll hear a ton of lines that didn't make the film, indicating that a lot of the dialogue was written on the fly. The film feels like Chris Terrio punched the original dialogue into ChatGPT and then wrote, "Make this sound cooler." And I'm not talking about the lines that they had to shoehorn in.
Never underestimate a droid.
Or the poorly delivered lines.
The forbidden desert of Persona.
Or the lines that didn't go anywhere.
Ray, I never told you where!
No, I'm talking about the lines that were inserted just to sound cool or try to make the character sound cool. Snippets of dialogue that, when you take a step back, don't make any sense. Like this one.
Which way? No idea. Follow me.
Wait, what? If you have no idea, why would we follow you? This happens to Finn a lot, so many of his lines seem like an afterthought to just give him more dialogue, like in this scene.
Finn, we can boulder these times! I was just thinking that.
No, you weren't. You were literally facing the other way. You have no idea what Chewie's seen and what Poe is suggesting they blow up. I know it's not his fault. He didn't write the stupid line. But it makes Finn sound desperate, like, "Oh yeah, totally, that was actually my idea first. You just said it before me." Or how about this one?
The nav signal is coming from that command ship.
Wait, which command ship? You didn't even point to one. Plus, Poe's like, on the radio? How does he even know which one you mean? And no, there must have been more than one command ship because he says that command ship, not the command ship, which means there must be others. Don't even try, buddy. But this line is the worst, though.
It is an honor, General.
Is it, Finn? You know who that guy is? You're so well versed in the details of a 30-year-old battle for the other side, and you can spot him on sight? Or is this just the writer's nod to the black guy meeting the other black guy? Because that's how it reads on screen. The writers also use Finn for the setup because they want another character to deliver the payoff, like this awkward exchange here.
I had a vision of the throne of the Sith and who was on it.
Ren?
And me.
Or this obvious and egregious one, where they desperately needed Poe to deliver this line and they reverse engineered a conversation to get it.
You have no idea what she's fighting. And you do? Yeah, I do. And so does Leia. Well, I'm not Leia.
It's so forced and contrived, and it's only there to set up Poe's deathbed confession to her. Actually, shortly after that, there's another weird moment. Look at how long Finn maintains his stare after this random guy asks a question.
Ground team.
I have an idea for that.
It's too long, right? Like he's miffed that he's asked such an insolent question and is giving him a look to say, "You right, buddy? You want to interrupt me again?" And hardly any of the humor lands. So many jokes get stepped on.
Oh, they fly now! They fly now? They fly now!
This is the textbook example of stepping on a joke, ruining a decent joke by following it too quickly with another riff or another punchline. This is how the joke should have played.
Oh, they fly now!
Chris Terrio does this a lot. Again, here.
Oh, funny he never mentioned it. Your friend's old job was running spice.
You were a spice runner? You were a stormtrooper?
Were you a spice runner?
Were you a scavenger? We could do this all night.
No, it should have cut after Finn's line like this.
You were a spice runner? You were a stormtrooper?
For every joke that lands,
Might I introduce myself? I am C-3PO Human Cyborg Relations. And you are?
Okay, that's gonna be a problem.
Hello, I Bubble Freak.
there's another that ruins it.
Up a transmission from someone named Babu Frick.
Babu Frick. Oh, he's one of my oldest friends.
And again,
3PO, move your metal ass. We're almost there.
How dare you? We've only just met.
and again.
Yeah, my first laser back.
And when they're not stepping on jokes, they're being turbo cringe.
Not that you care, but I think you're okay.
This is the worst. This is just bad writing. This is the quintessential cool line, pointless and nonsensical. And it piles up. In some terrible editing, they follow this line of a B-Wing flown by one of their own and being blown up with this.
Welcome to Mexico!
Really? You just lost one of your own, and it's now time for a wisecrack. That's like storming the beaches of France, watching one of your mates getting killed, and then shouting out to the others, "Welcome to Normandy!" And this whole exchange. Apparently, this whole scene was reshot to punch up the jokes, to have Rey and Poe snarking at each other. This sets them up like a bickering couple, but then completely forgets that dynamic and we never see it again. Probably because it was shot after the rest of the movie was already done. But it's another cool dialogue scene with, again, this line from Rey.
You dropped a tree on him?
You blew both subalterns.
No, sorry, you don't know that. You haven't been told that. That's just there to make the riff work. There was a back, so there needs to be a fourth. So it's forced and ultimately doesn't make sense. I think The Rise of Skywalker is a good watch. It's just not a good rewatch. All the flaws you ignored the first time around in a desperate attempt to enjoy it just come bubbling to the surface on multiple viewings. It's not quotable the way the original trilogy was. Well, at least not in a good way.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Instead, it's so busy trying to be cool and deliver one-liners that it becomes a parody of itself. The dialogue actually draws attention to the rest of the film's flaws. It's almost impossible to believe that this was the same lyrical genius who wrote Batman v Superman and Justice League. I'm all for a good quip and some decent banter, but Rise of Skywalker does this at the expense of actual character development, and for me, that's what kills the movie.